The Buddha and his disciples once embarked on a long and arduous journey. Exhausted after a day of walking, they decided to stop and rest by a pond. The Buddha then asked the youngest disciple, who was also the least patient, to go to the pond and fetch him some water. The disciple obediently complied and immediately fulfilled the request. Upon reaching the pond, the disciple saw a herd of cows had just crossed, muddying the water. He thought to himself, "I cannot bring this dirty water to the Buddha." He returned and reported the situation to the Buddha. Without saying anything, the Buddha instructed him to sit down and rest. Some time later, the Buddha asked the disciple again to fetch water from the pond. When he arrived, he found the water still murky. The disciple returned and reported once more. The Buddha simply smiled and told him to wait a little longer and try again. Fuming with anger and disappointment, he reluctantly went back to the pond, convinced that the water would still be murky and undrinkable. But upon arrival, he was surprised to find the water clear and pure. The murkiness was only temporary. After a while, the mud settled down and the water returned to its clear state. The monk cannot force the water to become clear, and any intervention may only worsen the situation. Psychologist and philosopher Viktor Frankl once said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." In this case, the monk cannot control the muddiness of the pond or demand patience from the Buddha. Instead, he must learn to adjust his mindset and attitude to cope with the circumstances. He cannot change these circumstances, so the only thing the impatient monk can do is change his attitude towards them. When the muddy water eventually settles, all he needs to do is patiently wait for nature to adjust itself. This is the lesson that the Buddha aims to impart. Patience will save the monk from the pain of anger and frustration, bringing peace to his soul. This video explores the benefits of patience and why it is a strength. As illustrated by the story of the Buddha, lack of patience causes suffering for the impatient individual and can affect those around them. An impatient person always feels dissatisfied with the current situation, leading to discontent and distress. This dissatisfaction can be strong enough to erupt into rage, such as the phenomenon of road rage caused by traffic congestion. Impatience not only causes discomfort but also serves no purpose. It reflects an unwillingness to accept life at its natural pace. We want the universe to bend to our will. We crave instant gratification. We want everything to change instantly. But the reality is that external circumstances are beyond our control, no matter how much we wish otherwise. Patience, the opposite of impatience, is based on accepting the present moment. As defined by Oxford Languages, the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. When practiced in daily life, patience not only helps eliminate dissatisfaction but also brings about several other benefits, such as making wiser decisions and improving interactions with others. Let's explore 5 important benefits of patience. 1. Natural flow. Typically, rushing doesn't truly help us achieve our goals. In fact, attempting to force the process can lead to counterproductive results. In a previous video discussing the concept of Wu Wei in Taoism, the art of acting naturally without trying to force was explored. The story of a farmer trying hard to cultivate illustrates how excessive interference in the natural process rendered his efforts futile. In fact, they resisted the natural flow of progress. Taoist philosophers observed that resorting to force often leads to counterproductive results and causes destruction. Nature has its own plan, and moves at its own pace and manner. It operates optimally without our intervention. Philosopher Michel de Montaigne expressed this idea when he said, "The natural order of caring for bees and freckles also cares for humans. If they have the patience of bees and freckles, let it progress naturally." According to Taoist philosophy, we can either align ourselves with the natural flow and navigate life more easily, or we can resist the current, expending a great deal of energy with little benefit. But how can we go with the natural flow? One of the essential conditions is patience. Patience allows us to let nature work for us, as we are willing to adjust our expectations according to its natural pace. An example of using patience to harness the natural flow is creativity. Often, our creative inspirations arise and fade away naturally, so we cannot control them. Writer's block often occurs after a while, forcing us to find ways to be creative. And when we try too hard, we often make everything worse. But interestingly, if we allow ourselves to rest and stop trying, our creativity often naturally rejuvenates. Charles Bukowski, in his poem, "So You Want to Be a Writer," says, "If it doesn't come bursting out of you, don't do it. If it doesn't come out of your pores, don't do it. If you have to sit for hours staring at your computer screen or hunched over your typewriter searching for words, don't do it." 2. Wiser decisions, more rational. In contrast to doubt and overthinking, careful consideration before making an important decision often leads to positive outcomes. The difference between skepticism and overthinking compared to our thoughtful deliberation is that skepticism often just repeats and doesn't offer any significant solutions. On the contrary, careful consideration requires us to examine different options and anticipate potential consequences, often based on reason and logic. This demands clarity of thought from us. If we let emotions dominate, we are prone to making irrational decisions because we decide based on emotions like anger or fear. For example, if we decide to end a friendship just because of a heated argument, we might regret that decision later. Applying patience before making a decision can benefit our lives because it helps us think rationally and confidently about our choices. In this case, patience is not only a tool to control emotions, but also autonomy, allowing us not to be swayed by emotions and act more consciously. Folk wisdom methods, such as taking a deep breath before making a decision or counting to 10 before acting, are practical and simple ways to apply patience in the daily lives of individuals. 3. Calmness. Lack of patience can lead us to lose our temper and become frustrated. That's why we often dislike having to wait. But when we lack patience, we allow external circumstances to control our emotions. Ancient Stoics saw an issue with this. If we allow external events to dictate our emotional state, they will have power over us. Sudden fluctuations of fate will determine whether we become angry, disappointed, or anxious. A common example of disappointment is waiting for a train and eventually discovering that the train is delayed. And so, they stand impatiently on the platform, often appearing annoyed that the train is not arriving as expected. Before long, another announcement notifies that the train will be further delayed. As a result, some commuters become angry and start to curse. But the patient ones simply take note of the delay on the schedule and wait for the train without displaying significant outrage. As mentioned earlier, impatience often arises from dissatisfaction with the current situation. However, patience helps us accept these situations without letting them disturb our peace of mind. Why do we let ourselves be affected by things we cannot control, such as train delays, muddy water, or difficult people? Through patience, we maintain our calmness in such situations. 4. Endurance and achievement. Persistence can lead to long-term success. However, to be able to persist, one needs patience. They need to stop expecting quick results, which, unfortunately, seems to be a common trend nowadays. Often, people start something but never persevere to the end, such as when they decide to lose weight or build muscle. They start aiming for their goals, but quickly lose motivation and give up. Broadly speaking, this loss of motivation stems from focusing too much on the outcome rather than the process. When the desired results don't materialize as quickly as expected, they become dissatisfied with the situation and become impatient. If the results still cannot be achieved, many people will stop and abandon all efforts until a time when they might achieve the desired outcome. Elbert Hubbard, a writer and philosopher, once wrote, "Many people have failed when they could have succeeded with just a little more effort, a little more patience." This quote emphasizes the importance of patience and consistency in achieving goals. When a person can strive towards a goal and patiently await the outcome, enduring periods of not getting the expected results for a reasonable amount of time will not diminish their motivation. Once again, patience brings the ability to accept and endure delays, helping them to overcome challenges and move closer to their goals. There is another story about a farmer who was determined to plant a special type of bamboo, highlighting the importance of patience and perseverance in achieving goals. What is unique about this bamboo is that its seeds take up to 5 years to germinate, meaning that in the first few years, the farmer had to spend time and effort watering and caring for them without seeing any results. During those years, it seemed like the farmer's efforts were meaningless, and the bamboo would never grow. However, the farmer remained patient, trusted the process, and continued to persevere daily. After 5 years of consistent watering and nurturing the seeds, the bamboo suddenly sprouted. The farmer's patience was rewarded. We can look at modern life and see that patience is the key to achieving long-term goals. A prime example is investing in the stock market, where it often takes decades to see significant returns from compound interest. Additionally, on average, new businesses also take about 3 to 4 years to start turning a profit. Success on YouTube might come quickly, but it often takes years to achieve. Patience allows us to endure these challenging periods without needing to compensate for our efforts. There's no doubt that developing patience is not easy. It can lead to challenging experiences, but the potential it brings is truly valuable. 5. Tolerance towards others. We cannot control the actions and will of others. Therefore, those around us may act in ways that we are not pleased with and refuse to do what we want them to do. However, many still expect others to act according to their desires, and when unable to achieve that, they feel dissatisfied. Conflicts between couples often stem from one party acting, or not acting, in contradiction to the desires and expectations of the other. We lose patience because we don't want others to behave like this. We want them to act and think differently, even though we have no right to intervene in this matter. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, following the ancient Stoic philosophy, recognized that we cannot choose who will appear in our lives. We will encounter ungrateful, deceitful, rude, and malicious people, whether we want to or not. This is beyond our control. However, we can change our approach and attitude towards them. We can let these people affect our spirits, or we can accept their presence and the inevitability of encountering them. There's no reason to worry about what we can't control. By being patient with everyone, we not only diminish their power to disturb our peace of mind, but we also acknowledge and understand their mistakes, thus demonstrating our humanity. In the work The Hidden Power of Kindness, preacher Lawrence Lavasic put forth a strong viewpoint. Practicing patience with each other, overlooking faults, and enduring each other's mistakes is the most important foundation of all human relationships, from family to work and society. Patience not only helps us become more tolerant of each other, but also teaches us to listen before speaking, demonstrate empathy and forgiveness, while reducing the likelihood of reactions or actions that we may later regret. Patience is not just a habit, but also a crucial factor in strengthening our position in the world around us and within ourselves. Impatience often comes with intolerance, foolishness, weakness, and suffering. In contrast, patience brings tolerance, wisdom, strength, and calmness. Therefore, patience is truly a genuine strength.